Over 35 years ago, the unimaginable happened, followed by a miracle that still leaves people in awe. It was April 28, 1988, a routine flight for Aloha Airlines Flight 243, a Boeing 737 from Hilo, Big Island, Hawaii. On board were 89 passengers, 2 pilots and 3 flight attendants, Michelle Honda, Jane Satotomita, and Clarabelle C.B. Lansing. As the passengers boarded, one thought they saw a crack near the aircraft door, but unfortunately didn't report it. It could have otherwise saved the incident from happening. The plane took off smoothly, climbing to 24,000 feet. The passengers were seated with their seatbelts on, and the flight attendants began their service. Clarabelle was at row 5, Jane at row 2, and Michelle at row 15. Suddenly there was a catastrophic explosive decompression. The left side of the fuselage was ripped off, and the top half of the front of the aircraft was exposed to the elements. Clarabelle 58 was sucked out of the aircraft, and despite a search, her body was never found. Jane was thrown into the economy cabin, covered in debris and trapped by wires. She suffered head lacerations, bleeding, and unconsciousness. Michelle felt pressure on her left shoulder and was thrown to the floor. The aircraft filled with swirling debris, and the floor at the front buckled under the pressure. Michelle crawled down the aisle, holding onto the base of the seats. She knew from her training that the noise, smoke, and flying debris indicated decompression. She tried to contact the flight crew, but the interphone system was destroyed. She shouted to the passengers to put on their life jackets, struggling against the noise. The oxygen mask system was destroyed, and the flight crew initiated an emergency descent. Michelle tried to calm the passengers, sometimes finding herself on her back, holding on for dear life. She reached Jane but couldn't free her from the wreckage. As the plane descended, passengers were injured and covered in blood. Michelle continued to console them. She saw a passenger with debris embedded in his face, but knew from her first aid training not to touch it. As the aircraft prepared to land, she tried to shout commands like "heads down," but no voice came out. She held on to whatever she could and helped Jane with the passengers' assistance. The aircraft landed safely at the airport in Maui. Michelle began the evacuation with the help of off-duty flight attendant Amy Jones Brown, who was traveling as a passenger. All passengers survived, although some were severely injured. Jane suffered a concussion and major cuts to her head and was taken to the hospital. It was only then that Michelle realized Clarabelle was missing. Michelle Honda did everything she could to care for the passengers. She visited the hospital to see the passengers she'd gone through this disaster with, showing her dedication to her duty. Despite her injuries, Michelle crawled forward, checking on passengers, making sure they were strapped in and comforting the injured. She ensured every passenger donned a life vest and worked her way to the front of the aircraft, tending to those most at risk. Most importantly, the heroic skills of the pilots ensured a safe landing despite the horrific condition of the plane, saving the passengers and giving them the gift of life. If you like this video, please subscribe, like, and share for more memorable stories like this.